More than 1 million students who sat for their Kenya Certificate of Primary Education examination in the unique year of 2020 have received their result, with the Ministry of Education noting an overall performance improvement. Tonight we look at the performance and celebrations from the 47 counties. Good evening, but first, these are the stories making headlines tonight. Faith Mumo tops KCPE class of 2020 with 433 marks. Also tonight, best performing KCPE candidates, their families and schools celebrate. Plus, JSC commissioners left pondering hard over responses given by the fourth candidate to be interviewed for the position of Chief Justice. And Lawrence Warunge pleads not guilty to killing 4 members of his family and a farmhand. Meaning Bessa is our sign language interpreter. Good evening, I'm Abubakar Abdullahi. Welcome to the broadcast. Now, 5 people were caught trying to impersonate some candidates, and 7 pupils were found in possession of pre-prepared notes in examination rooms. Education Cabinet Secretary Professor George Magoha says that already the government is investigating the cases of attempted examination malpractice. Our senior education affairs reporter Sharon Baranga begins our broadcast tonight.
For the first time in the history of the school calendar, results for KCPE candidates has been released in April. This is as a result of a pandemic that has disrupted what used to be the norm globally. More than 1 million KCPE candidates class of 2020 who sat for the examination last month received their results Thursday.
Many doomsday sayers predicted that candidates of 2020 KCPE examinations will perform dismally. Shetani ashindwe. The good news, however, is that the performance of the candidates in the 2020 KCPE examination is thoroughly commendable.
The government is currently investigating cases of examination irregularities that they received during the administration of the KCPE exams. 5 cases of impersonation and 7 candidates were found with prepared notes in the examination rooms.
Those staffers who allowed this to happen shall be severely punished.
Sir, allow me also to mention
Faith Mumo was the best overall pupil, scoring 433 marks out of 500 compared to 2019's best pupil, who scored 440 marks out of 500. In the special needs category, the best pupil scored 420 marks this year. There was an improvement in the overall performance for the class of 2020 compared to that of 2019. In the class of 2020, more than 8,000 scored over 400 marks, while those who scored between 300 and 399 marks are over 250,000. More than 12,000 candidates did not sit for examination. Placement of the pupils to secondary schools they selected will begin from 28th May 2021, and they are expected to report to their respective schools starting end of July. The government has assured the class of 2020 that they will all report to secondary school under the government's 100% transition policy.
I wish to assure the country that the ministry has already conducted an audit of all new and existing vacancies in all our private and public schools to enable us to admit all learners under the free-day secondary school.
Public primary schools outperformed private primary schools. The government has plans, and for the second year, it will offer 9,000 scholarships under the Elimu Scholarship Program to needy learners. Sharon Baranga, TV 47.
Elsewhere, Ifrah Mohammed Shuria, a pupil from Young Muslim Academy in Garissa County, has triumphed over all odds to score 405 marks In the just released KCPE examination results, Daniel Masidza has that story.
According to KCPE results released Thursday by Education Cabinet Secretary George Magoha, Ifra Mohamed Shurie, who is both handicapped and visually disabled, was position 7 nationally and position 1 in Garissa County for special needs education category. Speaking to the press, the joyous Ifra thanked her parents and teachers for helping her through her primary school education. She further urged students living with disabilities to work hard in their studies.
Nashukuru Mola kwa kunipa fursa hii. Namshukuru sana, leo niko na furaha. La pili, nashukuru wazazi wangu kwa kunisaidia. La tatu, nashukuru walimu wangu. Na hatimaye Mungu amenifanya nipite leo.
Sikia matangazo huyu msichana amepita, nimefurahi sana. Na leo furaha yangu imekuwa zaidi sana. So na washukuru Mola mara ya kwanza, walimu na waomba wanafunzi wenzake wale walimavu wafanye bidii vile Ifra amefanya.
On his part, young Muslim Academy head teacher Makunja Kaspa described Ifra as a hard-working and disciplined pupil, adding that her results are a proof that disability is not inability.
It's a notion that now disability is not inability. Actually, those who are in her situation, they should learn from her that the sky should be the limit. And she's determined to do well up to university level.
From TV47, we wish her well as she progresses to high school. Daniel Masiza, TV47.
From Garissa, let's get to Mombasa, where students, together with their teachers, stream to their schools to receive their results. Here is our reporter Petronila Goren with the details.
Celebrations broke out in various schools in Mombasa County as pupils, parents and teachers received their results. In Mishomoroni slums, Michelle Musiote from New Hope Community Primary School garnered 419 marks in this year's KCPE exams. Dozens of people came forward to celebrate her and 3 others who had also garnered above 400 marks. According to Michelle, hard work and commitment had enabled her excel in the exams.
First and foremost, by praying to God much, because nothing can happen without God. And I had to work hard for me to have these marks, because nothing comes in a silver platter.
At Paramount Education Center School in Nyali, parents and teachers were immersed in jubilation. Paul Aruni and Doreen Akinyi were the top students at the school with 410 and 405 marks respectively.
To join my dream school, Alliance High School, Alliance Boys High School, and in future I would like to be a neurosurgeon.
According to the head teacher of Paramount Education Center, Dickens Kaduki, the results were a motivation despite the challenges of COVID-19 pandemic.
We are happy with the performance. The boys and girls have done their best given the circumstances under which the exam was conducted in. That is coming shortly after COVID-19. And vis-a-vis the performance you have seen, I want to say as a school, we are very proud.
Elsewhere, Nyali Primary School recorded 410 marks for the top student. Teachers and parents also came out to celebrate the results. For TV47 from Mombasa County, I'm Petronila Goren.
Elsewhere, the government has announced its plans to reopen both primary and secondary schools for third term beginning 10th of May. However, according to Education Cabinet Secretary Professor George Magoha, all teachers are expected to take the COVID-19 jab before reporting to school to limit the spread of the virus in schools. Musa Salah has more.
Speaking during the release of the 2020 Kenya Certificate of Primary Education KCPE results, Education Cabinet Secretary Professor George Magoha announced that both primary and secondary schools will reopen for third term on the 10th of May, with only grade 4 and Form 1 students allowed to remain at home.
We are scheduled to open schools for third term on the 10th of May for all classes except for grade 4 and Form 1.
The school calendar was altered when the coronavirus disease struck the country in March last year, and although the government classified teachers aged 58 years and above as high-risk individuals open to take the COVID-19 vaccine, 26 teachers have so far succumbed to the virus, 15 teachers, 8 head teachers and 3 deputies. All teachers will now be required to take the job irrespective of their age. Professor Magoha saying the move is aimed at reducing the rate of infections in schools.
His Excellency the President has directed that all teachers and support staff in our schools be allowed to take COVID-19 vaccinations as part of the measures to ensure that our schools are safe.
And so I'm appealing to all teachers, irrespective of their age, to go and take this vaccine.
However, the school calendar still remains altered, with this year's KCPE and KCSE exams scheduled to begin early next year.
This means that as soon as we release these results, we are going to direct Kenya National Examination Council to start preparing tests that shall be administered later this year, flowing into early next year.
As students across the country continue to prepare to resume normal learning next month, some Kenyans still hold that it is still early to reopen schools as the number of infections continue to rise amid the third wave of the virus. Musa Salah, TV 47.
You're watching TV 47 News Tonight with me, Abu Bakr Abdullahi. Our focus tonight being on the state of course, education, specifically tonight, of course, the release of the 2020 KCPE examinations, and pupils, parents and teachers have poured into primary schools in different parts of the country to celebrate outstanding performance posted by pupils in this year's KCPE. Well, despite the COVID-19 pandemic impacting heavily on the education sector, a majority of pupils have performed well and are now waiting to join various high schools later in this year. Mwangi Maina now reports. Well, Mwangi Maina is still working on that story. I understand it will be on our way shortly. We have that story. Yes, let's have a look at that.
At the Nairobi Primary School, parents, teachers and pupils could not hide their joy. Bernice Omondi was announced as one of the top KCPE candidates this year. They streamed into the school immediately the results were released by Education Cabinet Secretary George Magoha to celebrate with her alongside other pupils who have performed well.
We lost all hope, actually, and even during the COVID holiday, we were on Zoom classes and they were always there to encourage us. They were always there. They were teaching us. We went through a lot of things, but they were there actually to talk to us. Also, the parents were extremely supportive. They were supportive actually, and they managed to remain calm even though it wasn't such a calm moment as such.
And tell them thank you for taking us through, because they've really helped us. And my dream school is Bishop Gatimu Gandugas.
I want to thank all the 203 candidates for the commitment, discipline they displayed over the time I've stayed with them for the 6 months. And I want to say God is great.
At Emmanuel Springs Academy in Makueni County, celebrations broke out as soon as the school established that 8 students had attained more than 400 marks, with the 2 of them making it among the best 15 students in the country.
Out of our candidature of 114, we have produced over 50 pupils scoring 400 marks and above.
In Kakamega County, celebrations broke out at Nzoia Sugar Company Primary School as Samuel Wanyonyi emerged the 3rd best pupil in the country after posting 431 marks.
Furaha imenijaa nilikuwa shambani niko napanda mahindi, jinsi mnavyoniona nimetoka shambani na sikutaka kujua, nilikimbia kumtafuta Samuel ili tukuje tusherekee matokeo haya.
Sasa sikufikiria kama naweza kuwa namba yoyote. Nilikuwa tunajua nitakuwa namba 1.
At Kitale School in Trans Nzoia County, about 15 students scored more than 400 marks, with the best student attaining 421 marks. In the neighboring Line Member Primary School, more than 14 pupils scored over 400 marks.
It had not been a swim in the ocean due to the coronavirus, and we had to wear masks every day. We had to have social distancing, which was very limited for us to mingle with our friends and partners.
At Kabarnet Visa Oshwal Academy in Baringo, celebrations marked the success of more than 5 candidates posting more than 400 marks. Excited parents and pupils said not even the COVID-19 pandemic deterred them from posting excellent grades.
Attaining my 406 today, I'm seeing now my dream of going to Kapsabet Boys High School coming into reality. Woo! And my dream career is to become a captain so that I can drive cruise ships around the world.
We've actually gone through a very serious season in our lives. Me as a teacher, this is the worst time of my life.
In Karatina DEB Primary School in Nyeri County, pupils and teachers flocked the school to celebrate Margaret Waruguru, who was among the top performers not only in Nyeri County but the whole country. In Juja, Kiambu County, elated pupils, teachers and parents made their way to Juja Preparatory School to celebrate the pupils' outstanding performance. Online learning amid the COVID-19 pandemic has been held, with the teachers attributing it to part of the school's success.
Thank my teachers for never giving up on me, for always being with us, teaching us, guiding us, giving us words of encouragement, and being with us every day.
This year's KCPE examinations were conducted under strict Ministry of Health guidelines to avert the spread of COVID-19 in schools. Despite the COVID-19 pandemic weighing down on the education sector in the country, public primary schools have been able to record a scintillating performance, like Nairobi Primary School that has recorded more than 15 students who have scored more than 400 marks. Mwangi Maina, TV 47 from Nairobi Primary School, Nairobi City.
Thank you, Mwangi Maina, for that report. And who best to trust to report on the performances from the counties than the county's television? You are watching TV 47 News tonight with me, Abubakar Abdullahi. We are taking a short break. Stay tuned. We'll be back with more after this break.
As the country gears up for possible BBI referendum and 2022 general elections.
As the salvos enter a too familiar territory,
William Ruto will serve his 5-year term as the deputy president.
Pundits Night is here to give you powerful, thought-provoking political commentaries.
The mountain can produce a candidate.
Give Moses Kuria a chance to respond. Let me ask you this. Are you not taking advantage of first my situation?
You talk about the people with the ultimate power.
Kikuyus will vote for somebody from outside their community to be the next president of this country.
We talk to the newsmakers, the opinion shapers, and the pundits.
Fair enough. I believe
that part so that I don't lose.
As we dissect everything you need to know to make an informed decision.
Oh, hi. It's not what you're thinking. It's a cup of coffee. Coffee, movie. Together, coffee with movie. Every Sunday, 8 p.m. on TV 47, where we bring you interesting, enticing people. Well, we've concentrated on musicians.
Yeah. Yeah.
Producers.
So now I manage, because telemanagement and events management, I think was my passion.
Right about now, we want to go beyond to the counties and to other countries. I'll see you. Let the sun stand still like Joshua time for 3 hours, but this time for only 1 hour. We bring you coffee with movie, interesting, enticing guests. I'll see you. Tunaweza anza tuna Mombasa, Kisumu, Nakuru, twende Uganda, Magufuli Land, TZ, you never know. It is coffee with movie. Jua unaweza enda sasa.
Tunuki
Raukia siku njema na tunukiwa offers kila siku. Pata offers zote mahali pamoja ili uongeze zaidi, utume SMS zaidi na ubrowse zaidi.
Wewe usijali. Tuma namba ya kila supplier kwa hiyo soko. Nitajua nitaongea na kila mmoja wao.
Very good. Piga *444# utunukiwe Credo double.
Raukia siku njema na tunukiwa offers kila siku.
Welcome to Nairobi Christian Center Bahati. We are an Assemblies of God Church under Reverend Fred Gitahi as a senior pastor. We are located at Bahati, Makadara area in Nairobi. We run a virtual church service with online services every Sunday at 8:30 a.m. and 11:30 a.m. as well as the children's services from 10 a.m., teens and youth services every Saturday at 11 a.m. and 2 p.m. respectively. You can follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Nairobi Christian Center Bahati and on YouTube Nairobi Christian Center. Be blessed.
Candace, what's that?
I brought you a small bonus.
Bonus for what?
You got us 299 family dinners, 64 kisses on the cheek, 12 road trips to see grandma.
Untold Stories.
Welcome back. Thank you for staying with us. Now, Faith Mumo Kawe is the 2020 KCPE top candidate. The Karimwailu pupils scored 433 marks. Our Education Affairs reporter Andrin Kilemi visited the home of Faith Mumo in Mala, Machakos County and has filed the following report.
A very good evening to you, Abu Bakar. We are in Machakos County where a top candidate for 2020 KCPE exam is at, that is Faith Mumo. We are currently at their home in Mala area of Machakos County. I will be speaking to her just to hear what she has to say and what her feeling is and even how she got the results. Faith Mumo, top student at KCPE 2020. How does this feel?
I feel very honored, and I know that God is the one who has taken me this far, and I'm very elated about it and very excited about it because I didn't expect to be just caught off guard like this.
How did you receive the information that you are the top candidate for 2020 KCPE?
I was asleep, then my father was called, then he was told that I was number one. So we went to confirm it in the TV, and I found that I was the top candidate in Kenya.
Now, Faith, from here onwards, which high school would you like to join, and what would you like to be in future?
I'd like to join Kenya High and also be a neurosurgeon in future.
Why a neurosurgeon, not a journalist, not a doctor, not anything else, but a neurosurgeon?
My first dream was becoming a journalist, but I later changed it after a certain teacher told me that I can become a better person than that. So I had to change into a neurosurgeon, and I became excited about it. I will always even touch and know what a neurosurgeon needs to do so as to become that person.
All right. Thank you so much, Faith. Now I will be speaking to the mom. I will be speaking to the mom. The mom will be telling us what she knows and how she received the information.
Kwa majina naitwa Flora Kadhini, mimi ni mama Kawe. Nilikuwa job, alafu mama mwingine friend yangu anaitwa Mama Junior akanipigia simu, akaniambia kana kwamba Faith ndiye ameongoza Kenya mzima. Mimi sikuamini hiyo maneno, nilikimbia kwa jirani yangu, nikaenda nikaangalia nikapata ni yeye.
Okay. Kwa hivyo mama, unahisi vipi sasa kwamba mtoto wako ni bora zaidi kwa mwaka wa 2020 KCPE?
Mimi naweza sema tu ni Mungu. Mimi nasema Mungu apewe sifa na utukufu kabisa na aendelee kuinua Faith.
I have been speaking to Faith Mumo. Faith Mumo is the top candidate in this year's, rather 2020 KCPE examinations. Remember, these examinations were conducted between March 22nd and 24th and were marked under 3 weeks as the education CS was speaking earlier today, he mentioned that public schools have done way better as compared to private institutions. That is the situation right here at Mala in Machakos County. Earlier on, we spoke to the head teacher of that particular school where Faith Mumo was a student, and this is what he had to say.
Faith Kawe alikuwa mwanafunzi wetu ama wangu wa KCP mwaka huu, na yameepuka kuwa mshindi wa mtihani wa KCP, na kulingana na mimi Faith alikuwa mzuri. Mitihani mingi alikuwa anaongoza ya shule, lakini mwisho wa KCP kuanza alikuwa anashindana na wasichana wengine, wavulana wengine, anakuja namba 2. Unaona akilia results ikitoka, lakini tukamwambia aendelee na kutia bidii. Kwa hivyo mimi nimefurahia sana, sikuamini.
That is what the head teacher of that particular school where Faith Mumo was a student had to say. Indeed, it is celebrations. Indeed, it is a joy for the school, for family, and even for friends. From me, Andreen Kilemi, and my camera person, Marion Chebet, from here at Mala in Machakos County. I take it back to you in studio.
Thank you, our Education Affairs reporter, Andreen Kilemi, for that. And the best of luck, if at all she needs luck, to the top candidate who wants to be a neurosurgeon, not a journalist as she had intended once. Let's now make sense of the performance, the result, and the celebrations, and bring in Jasper Ondimu, who is an education expert. Jasper, good evening, and thank you for making time for us on TV47 tonight.
Good evening, Abubakar. Thank you for having me to weigh in on the results that were announced today by the Education Cabinet Secretary.
Jasper, observably, 2020 has been a unique year, not just for the education sector, but all spheres of life and, of course, throughout the globe. But there is an improved overall performance, as the ministry says. What can that be attributed to?
Thank you, Abubakar, for that particular question that throws the spanner into works. In fact, as I was speaking to most of my colleagues in the profession, people have been on the ground. They're saying that the exams were a bit difficult. They expected very easy exams in the language of these particular teachers. But to their dismay, according to them, they said the exams were a bit difficult. But from the results that were released today, it was really good noting that these particular learners have done well. And I think it is the responsibility of any government to look at the prevailing circumstances. As you hinted earlier on, COVID really got into their nerves, and most of them were psychologically disturbed. They had not been in school for a very long period of time. And I believe that there was some moderation that was done on these particular results of the learners, such that they did well more than the previous years. And moderation is not necessarily bad. This is an international practice. It happens all over the world. It is accepted in test and measurement. So therefore, I think the government was responsive enough.
Jasper, let me interject you.
Yes.
Let me interject you at that point. You talk of moderation of the results. Just for purposes of the clarity for our audience who are watching, what do you mean by that?
Moderation of results means that, sometimes, Abubakar, as a teacher, you might set a very difficult exam. And once you start marking, you realize that the first student in that particular exam is getting, let us say, 10 over 50. But that does not mean that these particular children do not know anything or they are not sharp enough. So you'll be able to... you'll be able to look at, for example, the highest grade. If the highest grade is 10 over 50, then you can say this particular student who scores from 9 to 10, then this is an A. From 7 to 8, this is a B. So it is looking at the mitigating circumstances, look at the scores that the learners have got, and then try to pull up those particular learners up. And sometimes it can even be downgrading. It doesn't necessarily mean that it is is pushing those particular learners up. And Abubakar, in conjunction with that, and I think some people can argue even this particular moderation might have, because we are dissecting the figures, might have favored the public schools, because you look at the amount of investment that parents in private schools put in, the kind of resources, the kind of drilling that is there, and then the CS says that out of the 15 top slots, 8 went to the public schools. Yes.
Just by you talk of public schools, out of the 15 top national slots, 10 were actually from public schools. Public primary schools did well, which was a question I was coming to ask. Is it a case of preparation, or what can be pointed to this performance as well?
From where I sit, people might have various reasons, and probably it could need a deeper research. But from the point of it, you look at some of the schools here in Nairobi that have invested in education. They were not in the picture. They have been doing so well, and therefore, for me, I'm reluctant to believe that the public schools have come of age and they have outsmarted, in quotes, they have outsmarted private schools. So there could be a deliberate attempt by the government to be able to be seen to have invested in education. People have been complaining about the quality of education in public schools, and therefore, instead of the government putting in place mechanisms to ensure that the standards in public schools are going up, the government might actually decide and say, let us give the public schools these particular slots nationally, and then the private schools now can come later. So for me, I really do not believe that these particular public schools were so diligent enough that they outsmarted the private schools. I can tell you the amount of work that happens in private schools is a lot that we might not really say that. I'm not underrating the public schools, but it really does not happen that way. That I'm saying about the level of investment that private schools have put in place.
Just there are questions on exam malpractices, the transition and fear of overlapping, but I understand I need to take a short break. Stay with us. We will be discussing that after this break, Jasper.
As the country gears up for possible BBI referendum and 2022 general elections.
As the salvos enter too familiar territory,
William Ruto will serve his 5-year term as the deputy president.
Pundits Night is here to give you powerful, thought-provoking political commentaries.
The mountain can produce a country.
Give Moses Kuria a chance to respond. Let me ask you this. Are you not taking advantage of first my situation?
You talk about the people with the ultimate power.
Kikuyus will vote for somebody from outside their community to be the next president of this country.
We talk to the newsmakers, the opinion shapers, and the pundits.
Fair enough. I believe
that part so that I don't lose.
As we dissect everything you need to know to make an informed decision.
Oh, hi. It's not what you're thinking. It's a cup of coffee. Coffee, movie. Together, coffee with movie. Every Sunday, 8 p.m. on TV 47, where we bring you interesting, enticing people. Well, we've concentrated on musicians.
Yeah.
Producers.
So now I manage, because telemanagement and events management, I think was my passion.
Right about now, we want to go beyond to the counties and to other countries. Out here, let the sun stand still like Joshua times for 3 hours, but this time for only 1 hour. We bring you coffee with movie, interesting, enticing guests. Out here, tunaweza anza tuna Mombasa, Kisumu, Nakuru, twende Uganda, Magufuli Land, TZ, you never know. It is coffee with movie. Jua unaweza enda sasa.
Raukia siku njema na tunukiwa offers kila siku. Pata offers zote mahali pamoja ili uongee zaidi, utume SMS zaidi na ubrowse zaidi.
Wewe usijali. Tuma namba ya kila supplier kwa hiyo soko. Nitajua vile nitaongea na kila mmoja wao.
Very good. Piga *444# utunukiwe Credo Double.
Raukia siku njema na tunukiwa ofa kila siku.
Welcome to Nairobi Christian Center Bahati. We are an Assemblies of God Church under Reverend Fred Gitahi as a senior pastor. We are located at Bahati, Makadara area in Nairobi. We run a virtual church service with online services every Sunday at 8:30 a.m. and 11:30 a.m. as well as the children's services from 10 a.m., teens and youth services every Saturday at 11 a.m. and 2 p.m. respectively. You can follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Nairobi Christian Center Bahati and on YouTube Nairobi Christian Center. Be blessed.
Candace, what's that?
I brought you a small bonus.
Bonus for what?
You got us 299 family dinners, 64 kisses on the cheek, 12 road trips to see grandma, 42 jokes from daddy, 49 laughs from mommy.
In over 60 years of dealing with numbers, we've learned that the numbers that matter the most to you are the ones that matter the most to us. NCBA Bank. Go for it.
At NCBA, we can tailor-make your SME business solution to suit your business. It's what we have done for over 50,000 businesses so far.
50,000? Mommy, that is 50,000 families with 50,000 meals every day and 50,000 dreams coming to life.
We know that it's not about the business, but about caring for loved ones. Get NCBA SME banking solutions. The name is NCBA, and the numbers that matter to you matter to us. NCBA Bank. Go for it.
You are watching TV 47, the home of untold stories.
Welcome back to TV 47 News Tonight. Let's continue with our discussion. Our guest tonight is education expert Jasper Ondimu. We are making sense of the KCPE results. Jasper, let me ask you a question on the transition. The ministry today said that it is confident of 100% transition into secondary school, which in practicality means 1,179,192 students are set to get a slot in Form 1 in July this year. Is that practically possible, Jasper?
Abubakar, one issue that I take with the government is making pronouncement without ensuring that the correct infrastructure is put in place, the resources are put in place to cater for these particular learners. In 2002, when President Mwai Kibaki came into power, he declared free compulsory basic education, and that witnessed an avalanche of learners in schools. The government are not prepared for them. The challenge now was that the quality aspect was compromised. So the same scenario is happening under the President Uhuru Kenyatta's regime, where he's declared 100% transition without ensuring that the resources for these particular learners are there. Abubakar, we have some schools in this country where you find a class that is 20 by 20 meters accommodating more than 70 learners. In that particular case, it means that these learners are not going to enjoy quality education because you have one teacher who is dealing with more than 70 learners when the ratio is about one teacher to 40 learners. So these other 30 extra that cannot be accommodated by this particular teacher. And then you have also even these particular boarding schools where you find some children or some learners for that particular case, they have a double decker, they are sleeping. in twos, which is quite unfortunate. So as much as declaring the 100% transition is a good thing, because that ensures that every learner is given an opportunity, but the government has failed in ensuring that they cater for these particular learners. And it is unfortunate, even listening to the CS today, where he was enumerating that all these particular children are going to go to secondary in the 100% transition program, but then it did not even say that they have put in place resources to accompany this particular transition. So in the years to come, we have
because of the interest of time, let me ask you one final question. The current crop of students who are set to get to Form 1 will have to wait till July, I believe, because the current Form 1 students have one more term, and there are fears of overlapping.
The overlap of, come up again, please.
I'm asking, the current Form 1 students have one academic term, which is the third term, and we have Form 1 students who are set to begin their high school journey as of July. Are there fears of overlapping in as far as classes are concerned?
Absolutely, there is an overlap, because in that particular context, you're going to have these particular new Form 1s who are going to join high school. So in that particular case, I think it will be now upon the individual schools to come up with mechanisms to ensure that they accommodate these particular learners. So it could mean, if it is private schools, they could have more infrastructure. I believe accommodating Form 1s could not really could not be at all order. It is much more easier, and considering that the current Form 4s shall be leaving, they'll be able to create space for this particular class. So the worries might be there, but I think it is not really something that is mind-boggling.
All right, thank you, Jasper Ondimu, education expert, for making time for us tonight on TV 47.
Thank you, Abubakar. And I think as I wind up, it is important that we keep on making the clarion call for government to invest in public education. You know, right now everything is being left for the private entities. You have health has been left to the private sector. It is becoming very expensive. So let us not even allow education as well to be used as a tool for profiteering and increasing inequality in the country. Thank you.
All right, Jasper Ondimu is an education expert. Of course, we are making sense of the KCP released results, which were released earlier on today by the Ministry of Education. Let's get to equally other stories that we have prepared for you tonight. And the Judicial Service Commission, on day 4 of the recruitment of the Chief Justice, interviewed Justice D.K. Marete Njagi, a judge who has an experience of 35 years in the legal profession. Justice Marete Njagi appeared controversial in his responses from the onset. He told the interviewing panel that if he becomes the Chief Justice, he will not need security. Further, Marete was hard pressed to explain why he did not declare his income in the wealth declaration forms. Joash Onsare has more.
On Thursday, Justice D.K. Marete Njagi appeared before the Judicial Service Commission interviewing panel to enumerate how he will lead the judiciary if selected for the top job. Marete portrayed an image of controversial judge from the onset.
If you feel the air around Kenya today, it is very clear. We have, I said that this is a man.
However, Marete failed to explain his understanding of the judiciary strategic plan, having served from the inside since 2012 when he was appointed to serve in the Employment and Labor Relations Court in the same year.
What is our current strategic plan cover? What period does it cover?
I am not aware of that one.
Which means then that my lord would not know the strategies, particularly the policies that are discussed in the current policy.
I would not.
Further, Justice Marete appeared dramatic, saying he doesn't need a police driver if he is picked for the top judiciary job. He believes police drivers can't meet his needs and deliver on his rigid schedule.
Security is not my fancy. Even as Chief Justice, it will not be an issue to me. You might want to force me into it. The government might want to force me into it, but that one we would have to negotiate. I am not insecure whatsoever.
On religious matters, Marete has obtained a diploma in theology, an issue when asked by GSC commissioners stirred him to react.
We were not called upon to come to the judiciary to preach, whatsoever not. We were called upon to the judiciary to come and do that which we are assigned, and do it in decency.
The fourth interviewee for the position of Chief Justice had a rough time explaining why he had not declared his income in the wealth declaration forms. Marete also did not submit the financial statements of his wife.
My wife is a retiree. She retired three years ago. She is not doing anything. She's around 63 or so years. She's just at home and resting. She takes a pension from the judiciary, 33,000 shillings, and eats it.
The fifth to face the GSC on Friday will be Senior Counsel Philip Murgor, born 60 years ago in Elgeyo Marakwet. Murgor has served as the Director of Public Prosecutions between 2003 and 2005. Murgor, however, wanted Acting Chief Justice Philomena Mwilu to disqualify herself from the interviewing panel for both the CJ and Judge of the Supreme Court positions. With DK Marete Njage facing the GSC interviewing panel today, tomorrow Senior Counsel Phil Murgor will face the same panel eyeing the Chief Justice post in the country. Joash Onsare, TV47 Supreme Court, Nairobi.
Moving on, Lawrence Warunge, the main suspect in the killing of 5 people, among them 4 members of his family, and a construction worker in Kiambu County in January, has pleaded not guilty to the 5 murder charges in a virtual court session held on Thursday. Warunge is now to be remanded at the Nairobi Industrial Area Prison ahead of the pre-trial hearing that has been scheduled for May 11th. David Mudoke reports.
On a day he was being charged with 5 counts of murder involving 4 of his family members and a construction worker, Lawrence Warunge denied killing the 5 while appearing before Kiambu Lady Justice Mary Kasango. In the virtual court session held Thursday morning, the court directed that Warunge be remanded until 11th next month, pending the commencement of the pre-trial hearing. This comes barely days after a psychiatric report concluded that Warunge was mentally fit to stand trial for the murder of his father Nicholas Warunge, mother Anne Warunge, brother Christian Njenga, nephew Maxwell Njenga, and construction worker James Kinyanjui on the night of January 5th at the family's home in Karura, Kiambu County. In late January, the 22-year-old university student had been declared unfit to answer to the murder charges, with the initial mental assessment at Mathari Hospital halting his plea taken. Warunge confessed to police that he chose to eliminate the 4 members of his nuclear family because they were speaking ill behind his back, and that the killings were inspired by a British drama titled Killing Eve. According to a police report, the accused initially had planned to wipe out his entire family, including his 2 surviving sisters, but the plan was foiled when the sisters returned to school days to the dreadful night of January 5th. An autopsy on the bodies of the victims shows that all of them died due to multiple injuries caused by blunt objects. Warunge fled the scene of crime but was arrested at Wangige by DCI officers together with his girlfriend Sarah Muthoni 3 days later. The second accused was, however, released and is said to be a state witness in the case. David Mudhoka, TV47.
About 2.5 million doses of AstraZeneca vaccine are expected to arrive in the country from India by the end of next month. This is according to the government that now says having the second dose far apart aids in boosting the immunity of those vaccinated. So far, over 600,000 people have been vaccinated. Our health reporter Zainab Mohammed has the details.
Over 1 month into the first phase of the COVID-19 vaccination exercise that started rather sluggishly, the government says the uptake among Kenyans is fast rising, with over 600,000 persons having received a jab so far. However, delays of the second dose among the vaccinated is rife, as the government earlier announced a possible delay due to India halting international supplies. But the government now says the second shipment is expected to arrive by the end of May, and that a delay in the dose could just work in the favor of those already vaccinated.
Science has proven that the longer the wait, the higher the immune response of the vaccine, and therefore the better protection one gets.
And even though many counties are recording a huge number of persons vaccinated daily, some counties are facing dire challenges in the exercise, including lack of proper internet and hesitancy to the vaccines.
Counties with the least uptake have informed us there has been internet challenges. We've been able to work. The ministry has now given them gadgets and airtime with the data bundles so that they are able to transmit the information to us timely. So we may start seeing a little bit more of data coming from them. But there could be also other reasons dealing with hesitancy, and those will be dealt with at the local level.
Some counties have further been reported to be hoarding the vaccines whilst waiting for more doses. The Health Ministry warning that those vaccines should be released immediately.
We have noted that some counties are holding on to vaccines, actually holding them in the mistaken notion of releasing the current doses only when they receive doses for the second phase of vaccination. The Ministry of Health is now advising any county that might be holding vaccines not to do so. All distributed phase 1 doses of the vaccine should be delivered into arms of Kenyans.
On the countrywide oxygen shortage, the ministry says flattening the curve will be a huge factor in relieving the pressure due to a huge demand among patients.
20,000 oxygen cylinders are out of circulation for one reason or another. We don't know whether they are being held in a warehouse or in a store or somebody's house. And our appeal, as we have repeatedly said, is whether it is a health facility or individuals within their homes, these cylinders are supposed to be in circulation so that they can save lives.
Meanwhile, the country has today recorded a total of 1,091 new COVID-19 cases, 392 recoveries, and 4 COVID-19 related deaths. Zainab Mohammed, TV47.
Residents of Isulu village in Kakamega County are in shock after one man who was allegedly declared dead at his workplace in Kitale came back to his family. Mdhoni Maina reports.
There is nothing new under the sun, but when one arises from the dead, the circumstances still remain unclear to many, as the memories they ought to hold on to suddenly turn into reality. According to Sylvester Amkaka, the 54-year-old man, Anthony Mohati, left home in 2007 and later on an alleged robbery attack led to his demise.
Huyu brother mwenye ako hai akasema ameota huyo, ameambiwa huyo ni mtoto yake. Watu ya huku wakapinga wakasema sio yeye. Sasa sisi tulitumia vyenye aliota, wakaenda wakachukua hiyo mwili. Mimi sikuwa karibu.
Mohati recounts that he was completely unaware of the situation back home till his sister reached out to him, informing him that he was buried last year, and this information made him jolt like the wind back home to reaffirm that he is still alive.
Na watu huko kaniambia wewe umekufa na wanakutafuta nyumbani. Nikashindwa. Basi ikapita jana Hata akakuja, hata yeye mwenyewe akashuhudia kweli nimekupata wewe, kumbe ulikuwa umekufa. Ya bana, mimi sijakufa niko. Kaniambia wenyewe siku sasa sikuwagi.
Moreover, the Luhya tradition mandates Mohati to seclude himself from the society till the family excavates the body they disguised as his.
Uruhusi yeye kuingia nyumbani kwa sababu tunataka huyu mtu atoke hapa ndio aingie nyumbani tena ndio tufanye kimila. Kama huyu mtu kama yuko patu hapa hatuwezi kumfanyia kimila.
Though happiness may not reign at the moment as confusion still takes on the higher seat, Mohati hopes that the dust and mud will settle soon for him to build more memories with his family. Muthoni Maina, TV47.
Well, from the walking dead of Kakamega, let's get to the world of sports now and bring in sportsman Dennis.